about to like thunderstorm outside. I'm so excited. But I am going to add the intro and the outro really fast before we get started. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. If you're watching this on YouTube, I fucking love you. Today's episode, thank you guys. Today's episode is gonna be about your inherent worthiness. But we're gonna get into that in the intro, so I'm gonna save it for that, right? Hello and welcome to this month's episode of the maGikalmads show. I'm your host Maddie, and this episode we're going to be talking about your inherent worthiness. This is a result, well, my reasoning for talking about this episode is because I've been doing a lot of self-belief work lately, specifically around like up-leveling my mindset around like my worthiness, detaching my worthiness from like any certain identity and up-leveling my mindset in that way. So I'm really excited to touch on these topics and go deeper with you inside of the To Infinity and Beyond portal, which is what I've been working on, and it's getting so good. It's expanding so much. I'm so excited for you guys to get inside and to expand your knowledge and experience real life changes in your reality. So let's get into this episode. I almost feel like I need to like there's been so much going on in my reality lately that I'm just like, I'm gonna keep doing what I need to do, but bruh, like when you up level, like this isn't the case for everybody, and I know that like as time goes on and your beliefs shift, like it changes, but I've been initiated a lot in the last like year just in actually standing firm in what I'm worth, and it's been insane to see how many like adversaries have been like the ops really, and like people that I thought were close to me just like turned out to be ops. It's crazy. But I mean, like part of me like expected that, so like I get why it happened, you feel? Alright, I'm not gonna wait for these to upload every time, I just wanted to say that to you guys. So we're gonna start off by talking about abundance. So first, before we get into the juiciness of this episode, I kind of want to just touch on the abundance frequency, and I've done many podcasts on this in the past. I've had blog posts about this topic, and it's all over the To Infinity and Beyond portal, but I just want to touch on it here to give like a little preface of why we're even talking about your inherent worthiness. So abundance is not something that's reserved for someone or something or a certain like level of whatever. Abundance is something that anyone can choose to tap into, and truly every single person is aligned to abundance. It's just about what abundance is to you and what abundance you're allowing yourself to be aligned to. So when it comes to understanding where our frequency is currently at, our present moment reality is a great place to start. And this is going to show us exactly what abundance we're tuned to. So abundance is non-discriminatory, right? Abundance is unconditional, but it's like you could have an abundance of mishaps in your life, or you can have an abundance of love and ease and grace and whatever. It's all about what you choose to believe in, right? And so we go deeper into this inside the To Infinity and Beyond portal, specifically the Managing the Mind course. But I have realized over the course of the last few years that I truly was never without abundance. I always had an abundance of something. It was just what I was choosing to tap into, right? And how I was choosing to receive it based on what I believed was possible for me. And so really what I want to share with you here today is codes surrounding how inherently worthy you are of exactly what you want. There is nothing that you cannot have in this reality. There is nothing that you cannot be, do, or have. You could literally do anything. You could be anything. You could have anything, right? But when we think about things generally, what happens is, like, specifically in regard to our desires, we'll think of our desires and then all of this resistance comes up because we have underlying beliefs that don't actually support us in choosing what we want. And a lot of the time, this is a result of being conditioned from childhood, one, and then additionally, us living in perpetuated situations by our subconscious that has been manipulated and it's like we chose it, so it's like not bad manipulation, right? It's just like something we chose as a collective to go through. But it's this conditioning that spans across lifetimes, generations, and it's built up in our DNA to make us have these beliefs that don't actually serve us getting our desires. And so instead of creating a life full of abundance where we get to have everything we want, we get to have all the money, we get to have this and that and whatever, we create these lives and these identities that actually align with the opposite of our desires. We align to the opposition of the abundance that we truly desire, and therefore we align with abundance that is not our truest desire, although we are still experiencing abundance, right? So I really want to hone in on that. We are always experiencing abundance. It's just about what we're choosing to be aligned to, what we're choosing to be tapped into. And over the past, I want to say like 2-3 years, I've really gotten close and comfortable with seeing the identities and the mentalities that I had that were keeping me locked in to these specific realities where I was receiving a lot of things that I either didn't want, or it was like almost there but like not entirely. And I had to get really comfortable with letting go of those things, letting go of the stories that linked me to those things, which sometimes means we have to let go of the people who want to perpetuate those stories in our lives. And that is not an easy task always, right? Because like sometimes that can be people close to you, sometimes that can be family members, sometimes that can be someone that you have relied on like your whole life. And it comes to a point where you have to choose, okay, do I want to align with their story of me or my version of me? And do I actually feel worthy of making my own decisions? Do I actually feel worthy of choosing myself over and over and over and over again, regardless of what's being presented in my physical reality, regardless of who is saying what and what views are coming up? I have to check the door because it's starting to rain. Ooh, it's getting so windy. It's not even raining yet, it's just like windstorm. Oh, I love this weather. This is like, and it's only like 5 o'clock. Oh, this is my favorite. Okay, anyway. And I also am like getting so much energy from this weather. Like, I've been communicating a lot. Okay, anyway, we're gonna go into it. So as I began diving into this journey of abundance, I really started when I got my water machine, but it wasn't until I started going out and having like real life experiences from that new identity of like, oh, I'm actually worthy of having the best water, right? My perception of the best water. Oh, I'm actually worthy of having the best. Oh, I'm actually, like, I can actually get the best. Because before I was coming from a place of like, I get what I get and I don't throw a fit. Right? So like all these like little sayings and ways of thinking about things that are ingrained into our perceptions really have a significant impact on what we feel like we can actually attain. So when I got my water machine, it was like, oh, no brainer, I'm gonna get that, and then I got it, and then I started like networking with people, and this is where a lot of almost like imposter syndrome. I guess you could consider it imposter syndrome, but for me it was like an identity crisis. And I guess that's really what imposter syndrome is. It's like having this identity crisis of like, oh, can I really show up as that person? Oh, do I actually like believe in myself to be that person despite all the things that have happened in the past, right? So I had this newfound sense of self that I was coming into, and as I would start to show up in these ways, all of these people in my reality would reflect back to me the smaller, weaker versions of myself by either embodying that themselves or by trying or attempting to put me into that role again. And at first, I felt so discouraged and discriminated by these people, and I wanted to blame them, and I wanted to be like, oh, you're the problem. And then I realized that there was so many things that I was actually attached to when it came to other people and when it came to giving myself validation. So as I was stepping into this new identity of feeling like I was worthy of the best, of feeling like I had the ability to actually show up in the ways that I wanted to show up, to choose the things that I wanted to choose, and strengthening my self-trust in that way, I had to really get comfortable with actually being like okay with other people not seeing me in the same light. And as I grew my connection to the universe, which happened behind closed doors, right? Like no one saw me doing the work. No one sees you when you're learning and you're growing and you get those aha moments. Like no one sees that unless you share it. And sometimes it's like you don't even want to share it. Sometimes those moments are just for you. And so as I was experiencing those moments and up-leveling internally, and my cells are changing, my DNA is upgrading, it's like all these other people still see me as the same version of me, still see me as that younger version of me, still see me as that weak version of me, and they try to put me back in that box. And the thing about the brain is it actually thrives in comfortability, right? So like when you're around those people who believe that about you and it's a comfortable pattern for you, you will naturally go back into that pattern. And that's something that I had to really build my stamina with, of like my staying power in my newfound identity, because I didn't want to conform to the standards that I had in the past, because I had up-leveled who I was. But there were so many points in my journey where I was faced with individuals who would be like, have those perceptions of me. And like as I was strengthening my connection to the universe, like signs and synchronicities would happen so clearly. My ability to connect to nature and to like impact the weather would be so strong. And I would feel like I would want to share these things, but then also simultaneously I would feel like I couldn't, because the people in my reality were not supportive of the way that I was seeing myself, because it made them feel small. Because I was the underdog and I rose up and I became the person on top. And when other people see that, sometimes they get intimidated. They're like, oh my gosh, why can't I do that? Why can't I be making those changes? Why can't I be making those shifts? But the thing is, I did a lot of that work behind the scenes, right? I fostered my connection with the divine behind the scenes. I wasn't out in everybody's face like, oh, I'm doing this and oh, I'm doing that, because I learned that a lot of the people in my reality were not supportive of the ways that I was changing. Either they were jealous of it, or they didn't approve, or they didn't believe in me. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just keep it to myself. And then when I pop out as this new version of me, it's like, oh, do you really think you're worthy of that? Oh, do you really think you could do that? Oh, who are you to like, what? Like, you know? And that's a reflection of those internal beliefs that I held for a long time, coming up to be released. But the idea here is not to succumb to those narratives. The idea is to push past the chaos, is to see the big picture vision regardless of what anyone is saying, because your worthiness is not dependent on what's reflected to you in the physical. Your worthiness is something you determine, and it's vibrational. And it's inherent. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to become anyone. You get to be worthy just as you are. You get to say your price, name your price, and you're worthy of that. So long as you believe that, so long as you can uphold that, so long as you can actually feel okay in receiving that, that gets to be your truth. And when these other people come in and they say, oh, well, do you really feel like you could do that? Like, oh, or like, this is the best one I've ever received. It is recent. I had someone, like, I was really up-leveling internally, and this was someone, like, close to me. And I called them out on something. And they came back to me with saying, I'm sorry that you reacted in that way. I want to let you know this isn't a comparison game. As if to say, like, as if to imply that I was jealous. And I literally, I laughed. I laughed for like a good half an hour. Because I was like, are you kidding me? No! That's not what's happening here at all. It's that I know my worth, I set a boundary, and you folded into the old dynamic and wanted me to come play back with you there, and I'm not willing to do that, and now you feel like you need to justify what happened. But I'm not even playing the game. Like, I'm not playing that game. I'm on a different level. Like, if this were Monopoly, I own Boardwalk. You feel me? Like, we're not on the same mindset, right? And so when we're tested, it's not because we're not worthy. It's because we need to know our worthiness. Source knows we're worthy. Our worthiness is inherent. We get to have what we want because we say that we want it. Our beliefs naturally align to get us what we want if we allow that to happen. But if we're constantly listening to Susan over here and we're constantly asking people for their opinion on what we're doing, trying to gain a sense of self-worth from the external, that's when we come crashing down. That's when we keep falling. That's when we feel like we need to isolate ourselves because we're dependent on the external to let us know that we're doing okay. And likely this is because we never had someone to tell us we were doing okay when we were younger. Or if we did, it wasn't emotionally backed. But we're not little kids anymore, right? Like, it's time to grow the fuck up. And I say that with the most respect. It's time to grow the fuck up. It's time to own your power. It's time to start acting like you know your power. It's time to move in the direction and in the ways where your power is being showcased. I hear what you're saying, but how are you moving? What actions are you taking? How are you embodying that energy? What energy are you walking with? And it doesn't have to be in business. It doesn't have to be in your relationships. It could literally just be like, how the fuck are you walking to the store? Are you walking in the store like you're the baddest bitch on the planet? Or are you walking in the store like, oh, poor, woe is me. I have to walk to the store. Your mindset, your energy, and your intention can shift everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be doing the smallest task in the world. When I first moved to Miami, I had a bunch of stuff with like bank accounts that I had to like switch over. And the way that I handled those situations was so in tune with the individual and the worth that I embody. It was like, I'm a grown woman and I am handling my shit. And this is gonna help me and this is gonna benefit me and blah, 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 whatever. But if I was going off of like how I did things in the past, or like the last time I was in a bank, like I was with my mom and I was hugged on her head. You feel me? So like if I was like it's like the way that you do things matters more and contributes more to your sense of self than the action itself. And no action makes you more worthy or less worthy or whatever. Your worthiness gets to be as it is. Your worthiness just is. Money just is. Love just is. Success just is. It's only when we make meaning out of it that it becomes something else. It's only when we say, oh, I'm not successful, that success becomes something bad, right? Everything is neutral. Every single thing is neutral. And when you actually embody that, you can make the most meaningless actions, like walking to the fucking store, like waking up in the morning, the most monumental experiences of your life, because it's the energy that you're doing them in. And your worthiness is reflected in your energy. How you move, how you walk, how you speak, what you expect, your boundaries, what you allow. That matters more than anything you say. Energy speaks volumes. Energy is the language of everything. Energy is the language that speaks between us all. I've talked about this before, but telepathy is so fucking real. And when you're aware of telepathy, when you're aware of yourself to the point where you can be aware of telepathy, you can actually hear the undercover conversations that are going on despite what's being shared on the surface. You can hear the worthiness of the conversation. You can hear how people feel about themselves just by how they're showing up in conversation, just by how they carry the energy behind the words. The words don't mean shit. But if you give all the power to the words, then they're good, then they're bad, then they're this, then they're that. That's you outsourcing the validation again. You have to come back into yourself. You have to believe in yourself from your heart space, knowing that you are the one who decides. You are the one who determines it all. Nobody else has a say here except you. And if you feel bad about that, that's something to look at. Why do you feel like you can't have what you want? Who told you that? Who made you feel like that? Who made you feel like you couldn't have exactly what the fuck you say you want? In this reality, where we create everything, I'm here to tell you, you can be, do, or have anything you want. And persistence is what will get you there, not outsourcing your validation to the external. That was fire. My eyes are going crazy from looking at this light. That was fire. That was really long too. So when we talk about the abundance frequency, when we talk about worthiness, what we're really doing is we're identifying what abundance we're tapped into, and that shows us how worthy we believe ourselves to be. When we're considering the outside opinions of other individuals, of media outlets, of society, of close loved ones, whatever it may be, we're telling our subconscious mind, I'm not worthy enough of having my own opinions about myself. And I did this for a long fucking time. I was constantly chasing the validation of individuals who didn't give a single fuck about my success. I was the only one who cared about my success, and yet I was asking everybody and their mom for their opinion about my success. And you know what that did? It had me running in circles, trying to please everyone and do everything and make everything so perfect so that it would be liked, so that it would be accepted, so that it would have value. But you know the funny thing about life? Nothing has value unless you give it value. No one believes in your work until you believe in your work. No one wants to hear what you have to say until you want to hear it, until you have the balls to say it to yourself, for yourself. It all starts with you. Your worthiness is not outside of you. It's not something that someone gives you. It's not something that God deems like, oh, you're worthy. Like, no, you are worthy just because you are, just because you're living, just because you're breathing, just because you're here right now. Even if you weren't in the physical, you'd still be worthy. Right? Worthiness is an unconditional experience. Everything is an unconditional experience. But we like to limit things. We like to put things in boxes. We like to say, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And what does that do? That tells us that we're not allowed to experience the entire spectrum of what it means to be alive, of what it means to be human. And what does that do for our psyche in terms of our worthiness? It tells us that we are not worthy of experiencing it all. It tells us that we have to save ourselves and protect ourselves and make sure that we're good and we're doing it the right way. But that's not how success is built. That's not how success comes into fruition. Success comes because you believe it's inevitable. Success comes because you believe it's already done. Success comes because you believe in your worthiness. You know that you are worthy of what you're trying to receive, what you desire to receive. And it's not even about trying, because you don't have to try. You just are, and it is, and you align. That's it, period. And when you start to actually realize that, it makes creating your reality so much easier, because you're no longer focused on, oh, this is right, oh, this is wrong, oh, I'm in alignment, I'm not in alignment. Everything is alignment. You cannot be out of alignment. It's about what you're in alignment with, who you're in alignment with, what version of yourself are you in alignment with. Oh no. You okay? So I say all of this to let you know, you don't need to get another certificate. You don't need to go through school. You don't need someone to tell you that you're doing okay. You don't need anything from anyone. Can you desire it? Yes, but if you don't give it to yourself first, the satisfaction won't even be there when you get it, because who you really want to hear it from is yourself. You want to feel it from within. That's true satisfaction. That's true knowing. And that is true power. And that is what will get you to where you want to go. That level of worthiness is going to activate you, put you in rooms, put you in places where people inherently respect you, where you don't have to ask for your needs to be met, where you don't have to state your boundaries out loud, because people just understand. Because you understand. Because you know your worthiness. You know your inherent value. And people reflect that to you because you know it. The longer that you spend trying to prove yourself, trying to gain approval, and trying to make it look like or allow other people to see you in the way that you want to be seen without first seeing yourself in that way, The longer you try to do any of those things, the longer you're going to stay in your own version of hell. The longer you're going to perpetuate the victim mentality for yourself. If you actually want to get the things that you want, you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to decide, I am worthy. You have to decide, this is the only option. People will treat me like this. This is the only option. There is no other option. You cannot treat me any other way. I will not accept that as true. That is not something that I allow to come to me. That is not something I allow myself to experience in this reality. And that doesn't come overnight. It takes practice. It takes knowing who you are. It takes sitting in silence. It takes communicating with the universe. It takes seeing the signs and synchronicities and allowing that to boost you up. It takes connecting with your fucking ego. It takes learning to actually be in alignment with the ego you desire to be embodying. Which means you have to let go of the people pleasing. You have to let go of making sure everyone else's needs are met when your needs aren't even being met. I know that it seems like if you do things for other people, they'll do it for you, but low-key, that's manipulative energy. And that's not where you want to be living. Low-key, that's narcissistic as fuck. And high-key, it perpetuates the victim mentality for you. It gives you an excuse to stay small. It gives you an excuse to blame other people. And that's where you spend your energy instead of knowing your inherent worthiness, knowing what you can create. It keeps you in a karmic loop. And do you really want to be in a karmic loop? No, I know you don't. If you're listening to this podcast, you definitely don't. You want to be able to create the things you want to create. You want to make the moves that you want to make. And you want to feel good doing it. But you're never going to get there if you keep relying on everybody else's opinion. The more that you care about other people's opinions, the more the opinions will trigger you. The more that you focus on being of service and of value to yourself, the more you're going to attract individuals who you can be of service and of value to. All right, sir, please. Sorry. And you don't just wake up one day like, oh, today's the day, I'm worthy. No, it's a constant practice. It's a constant reminding yourself. And there will be people, there will be adversaries that come into your reality and try to test you. There will be almost that are like just right there on the edge of your desire, but it's like not perfect. And that's a test too, not from the universe. It's so that you know your shit. For you. The universe knows you're worthy. The universe knows your value. You're the one that doesn't know your value. That's why you keep putting yourself in these experiences, in these situations, so that you can actually learn and feel your value. So that you can learn to say no. Wealth knows how to say no. Abundance knows how to say no. It's unconditional, it's always there for you. But it's up to you to align with the frequency, the beliefs, the mentalities that put you in the positions to receive that which you want to receive. So no, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be anyone else. You don't have to change everything about yourself. You just need to hone in on the things that already make you you. And begin to trust that is enough. That you are enough just as you are right here, right now. And yes, naturally you will evolve. Naturally, the better it gets, the better it gets. But that doesn't make the version of you right now any less worthy of what she desires. You get to have it all. You're the one who decides. Trust in that, and you'll begin to shift the world around you.
Get away from the camera!
Gosh darn it. I think that's good. It's about a 30-minute episode. I don't like to go too long these days because I feel like me personally, like I don't like to listen to podcasts that are that long. Because I kind of want to go play in this rain. We're just going to record a little outro. Alright guys, that's a wrap for this month's episode. I hope that you enjoyed this activation, and if you're looking to dive deeper into these concepts and actually affirming this in your reality, I highly recommend checking out the To Infinity and Beyond portal, specifically the Managing the Mind course, where we go into identifying the victim mentality stories and getting really close and comfortable with seeing the uncomfortable and being able to recognize the ways that you are limiting yourself so that you can consciously step out of those identities and into the identities that are in alignment with your truest desires. So I'll see you inside the course or the portal. If you have any questions, there's plenty of information on the website, or you can send me a message on Instagram. I love you guys and happy day. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. There's so many fucking cats in here, bro. You know anybody that wants a cat? Let me know. But yeah, that's a wrap. I'm gonna go enjoy this little stormy storm. You can catch the podcast episode wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's gonna be dropping this Sunday, which is, let me just see. Excuse me. Which is the 10th, September 10th. Oh, it's actually my grandma's birthday. It's gonna be dropping September 10th at 11:11 a.m. Blog post will be dropping at 7 p.m. If you want to sign up for reminders, you can sign up on the website or go straight to your email. I don't spam, so feel free to check it out. And our masterclass episode this month is gonna be so fucking good. It's about masculine leadership and feminine surrender. So that's gonna be like working with the universe, like how to actually work with the universe, and the ways that I've gone about doing that. So I'm super excited for that. Any of the past masterclass episodes are available for purchase on the website, or you can join our masterclass mastermind, or get inside the portal where all of the masterclasses are housed. Okay, it's about to thunder now. I love you guys and have a good day.